we drinking these?
All right, guys. It's Celso's birthday weekend, so hence the very slow start to this video and this podcast.
We already started recording.
Yeah. It's like,
I love that.
Yeah, I don't know. We can edit it or not edit it later. It's like
I don't think I've had a vodka soda since college.
These are actually I'm pretty sure I've had these before. I think they're pretty good.
Well, the problem for me was that when I was an age that I will not say on a recording, I gave myself alcohol poisoning with vodka.
So
3 times.
Kind of ruined it for you a little bit.
Yeah, I can't drink straight vodka anymore. This is delicious. Oh my god.
You gonna pour yourself a drink so we can do a starting toast?
It's like a
He's
like a White
he's
Claw,
so
but better.
reluctant to have another drink right now. He's like, this might be the final.
It's better than the seltzers. Just the
Well, it's made with real juice and
yeah, like exactly. Not essenced like LaCroix.
right.
They just say it. This is lime flavor.
It's a Tina, guys. The Tina.
Tina.
Yeah, Tina.
Be drunk.
Tina.
Still.
So we are Sweater Heads. I'm Luke. Celso over there.
Why gotta be
And who do we have here today?
My name is Aidan Mattis.
We got Aidan, also known as TikTok Aidan.
Oh, good God. All right,
The
so
lore
I'm
king.
Aidan Mattis of the Lore Lodge podcast and YouTube channel, and now I'm a local musician too, I guess.
Aiden makes a lot of videos about Wendusi.
That's true, yeah.
I mean Wendigos.
Listen, man, it started off as like people started saying they were going to bang the Wendigo like the 3rd video I made. I had like 600 followers, and I'm like telling people not to hook up with the Wendigo.
I love
I'm
where this
hook
is
up with
going
the
already.
Wendigo.
I don't. All right, so what is a Wendigo? I don't even.
Oh boy! All right.
Yeah.
So the Wendigo comes from Algonquin, specifically
Wendusi.
mythology and folklore. The Algonquin were a Native American, more of a language group than any specific one nation, but it contained groups like the Ojibwe, and it stretched from like Maine across to all the way to the Pacific. So basically the border area, give or take 100, 200 miles between Canada and the United States, was all Algonquin territory. And the Algonquin had this story of it varies depending on where you are on the continent. There's 2 main versions. One is that when a person commits an act of cannibalism, usually in the winter, out of desperation, in order to survive, basically if they kill one of their family members or friends and eat them in order to survive, they will transform into this evil creature that is super strong, super fast, but loses essentially all of its humanity and becomes this creature that only ever lusts after human flesh and is starving and wants to eat people. The other version is very similar, but instead of you undergoing the transformation independently, a demonic presence known as the Wendigo tempts you into it and then possesses you. So the 2 versions are slightly different in terms of how one becomes one of these things, but at the end of the day, the end result is essentially the same. Ironically, the movie Antlers is supposed to be about a Wendigo, but the stage in which the character who transforms into one is becoming one is actually much closer to the legend itself than the final stage that they give him, which is the antlery thingy.
Right.
But yeah, so I basically was sitting at work on a Friday, and it was my 3rd to last day, so I was on TikTok, and I made a video because I saw one that said, what's a conspiracy theory you 100% believe in but you can't prove? And I said, Teddy Roosevelt started the National Forest Service to hide the Wendigo from the American people.
Okay.
There's only one way to kill a Wendigo, and it's to lather up your dagger in white ash. So
Is a what?
Really hope by dagger you mean knife.
your sword, anything.
He's not confirming it. He's making it more ambiguous.
My sword.
White ash is actually skinwalkers.
Yeah, that's right. My bad. Those are for the skinussies.
I didn't realize they were different things until I had probably been making content for about a month, and I was
thought they
like,
were the same for some
these
reason.
are
No, that's
different. I've done a bad.
How do you kill a Wendigo then?
Traditionally, it is you need to do one of the few things. The one that seems to be the most effective is just burn the entire thing, just cover it in gasoline and light it up. But traditionally, it is that you have to cut out its heart and light it on fire.
So just
But
accept
lighting the
death.
entire thing on fire also would work.
Right.
Accept death.
Exactly.
Accept. your
Also, they
death.
smelly as hell.
So I feel like I really need to do a deep dive into your your channel for sure.
Dude, it's fun. It's a great time.
Yeah, that I was like literally intrigued the whole time.
Yeah, we talk about all different stuff like that. It's we've got videos on Wendigos, skinwalkers, goblins, elves. Like basically, we go through the folklore of all these different cultures and lay it out. But we try to keep it as factual as possible, and we don't change up any of the story. We don't go with the modern horror movie versions. We try and trace it back to its roots, and then we talk about it in a factual, but we keep it lighthearted. We make jokes and all that.
Right.
We don't keep it to the point where you're sitting there like
I'm in a history class. Have you watched that Skinwalker documentary on Hulu?
I have not.
So
Skinwalker Ranch?
the Skinwalker Ranch. I watched it. I probably shouldn't have watched it stoned. Yeah, and it was while I was in Florida. It was last year while I was in Florida for like 3 months, and I was staying with my parents. They go to bed at like 8 o'clock, and I'm like, I go to bed at like 3.
Yeah.
And so like I ended up being like super stoned, quiet house, and I started watching the Skinwalker Ranch, and like I was just like I wasn't freaked out by it, but I was just like staring into the universe of it, like it was just I was just like, what's going on? But I thought it was really cool.
Did they in the show? Did they go over like the whole story with the Navajo Ute War and the path of the Skinwalker and all that?
So they do a deep dive into the Native American culture surrounding that property. It's mostly around the property there.
Yeah.
So apparently it's the highest rated paranormal activity spot in the world, and that's kind of why there's so many conspiracy theories about
There's
it.
a lot
Because
of UFO sightings there too. Right?
dude, like not only UFOs, but like they were literally going through like these tape documentaries of stuff and just like weird stuff that's just constantly been happening for like as long as man has been there documenting. Because there's legends, there's the Native American legends, like, and then there's like, since we had video cameras, basically I think when some of the videos started in like the 70s or something like that, and yeah, I need to watch it again, probably like sober.
It's definitely a fascinating story, and episode 6 of our like recorded show on the Lore Lodge is about Skinwalker Ranch. It's like half an hour long. Mr. Ballin on YouTube also has a great video on it. He's better than me, so I will.
We believe in you.
He is. He's been doing this longer than me.
We don't
too.
have Mr. Ballin, so fuck you, Mr.
I
Ballin.
actually did have Mr. Ballin on my show.
Okay.
He was awesome. He was fantastic. Super nice guy.
Take it
Phenomenal
back,
guest.
Mr. Ballin, if you want to come on the show.
Navy SEAL, super interesting dude. He actually
never
lives.
mind. I don't
He
wanna
lives
fuck
in
with Mr.
Pennsylvania.
Ballin.
He lives in
Never mind.
Pennsylvania. He's
All
not
right.
far from here.
I apologize. I retract. I'll be editing that out.
But no, he's a super cool dude. But yeah, so the whole area, actually, what I discovered is that the entire region, it's not just the property. The property is kind of the focus of it, but the entire region, the Uintah Basin, in that mountain range is, since before the ranch was built, was always known as being kind of a weird, like, paranormal zone.
Right.
And then when the ranch was built and occupied, it just got, like, thrown into overdrive, it seems like. And what I think is interesting about all of that is that the Native Americans and the Celts and the Norse all have varying versions of this, but they all believed in multiple dimensions and the ability to enter and exit the physical realm.
Yes, so that's what they covered was the fact that, and they're kind of leaning. It didn't even seem like it was a conspiracy theory because, I mean, it isn't. But like the government being so interested in this area is like.
I think the reason the government's so interested in the area is that they've discovered that there is actually some sort of nexus of paranormal energy there.
There's some, yeah.
And I think when you've got something that is that widespread culturally across the northern hemisphere, where you've got, the Celts believe in the Seed, where you can enter and exit the other world and go and interact with higher forms of beings, the Tuatha-De-Danann.
Right.
The Norse and the ability to travel up and down Yggdrasil and interact with the Jotnar and the elves and the dwarves and all those different things. And then the Native American ones do not have as much extensive writing about them, so it's a little more difficult to really dig into.
Right.
But they also believe that there are certain spots where you can enter the spirit realm or enter the astral plane. And so I think if you got all these different groups of people who all essentially believe the same thing about the way in which our world
Right,
and
there's so
the
many
other
different
dimensions
connections,
work.
and they were so far apart from each other, and there was They weren't texting each other.
Yeah. And I'm not saying you all got to sit down and watch Ancient Aliens and be like, oh my God, the ley lines. Like, no, don't do that. Ancient Aliens is one of those things that I actually bought into it for a little while until I was like, man, this is compelling, until we got to a part in the show where they started talking about some medieval stuff. And that's what I got my degree in. Shout out to the Penn State Medieval Studies Department and all 2 of us graduates each year. But
high demand.
yeah, exactly. But they got to a medieval section. I was like, wait a second, that's complete bullshit. Like, everything they just said was totally wrong. And then I was like, oh, so the rest is also probably bullshit. It's
I'm not saying it's aliens, but it's aliens.
yeah, there's a like psychological phenomenon. I can't remember what it's called. It's driving me insane. I heard about it for the first time on Tim Pool's show, and but basically like when you're reading something, you'll believe it until it gets to a part that contradicts something you have an area of expertise in, and then you'll realize it's wrong.
You question everything.
But most people won't question everything. They'll just assume that one thing was wrong and keep chugging along, when in reality, journalists are typically not the experts on everything that's ever happened.
Sure.
And tend to get it wrong, but...
Right.
I'm so fucking drunk right now.
I can tell. I literally just realized, like, it's literally just been a conversation between you and I, and he was looking that way at that microphone.
Man is vibing.
It was my birthday yesterday, and the shots kept rolling.
How long were you drinking until?
Yes.
The answer is yes.
He was like, I had one before I drove here.
I
drove him.
Yeah, he drove. I walked. It's a nice day.
So you have a YouTube channel, and do you cover the same things on YouTube as you do on TikTok?
Yeah, just at much greater length and in much greater detail.
Right. So, like, how long have you been doing that? What got you into it? What, I guess I'm interested to hear the part, like, so like right now, like my channel for Facebook it's starting to ramp up. Like I made like $400 something last month from Facebook Reels. And like I think like I could buy a coffee at Starbucks for what I made on YouTube.
Probably.
Maybe, I don't know. I might need some help, guys. It's
my
just
first
my
first YouTube payout was $50.
Well, it's so funny because like now I started slacking on posting my videos on YouTube and TikTok, and then I was like, all right, like I need to practice what I preach. I tell all my clients, you got everything. So I started doing the shorts again on YouTube. And then all of a sudden, like, they're popping. Like, I'm putting out these, like, 10-second shorts of me making fun of Cassidy or, like, the dogs. And they're getting, like, 2,500 views, like, in like, 24 hours. It's just really weird. But they're not paying. And I think the thing I was about to say when we were talking earlier is I feel like it's more important to really double down on all of them now because Facebook paying bonuses and starting to get their hat in the ring, trying to take the attention away from TikTok and YouTube means that YouTube and TikTok are going to counterbalance with hey, like, we're paying out more money. It's going to be easier to be a creator. Or, like, not easier to be a creator, but...
YouTube, 100%. YouTube is definitely going to knuckle down and realize that if they want to compete with the shorts, they're going to do one of two things, I think. Either they're going to totally stop laying the pedal to the metal on shorts and just go back to being YouTube, or they are going to get in a bidding war with Facebook and start paying more to their creators. TikTok is not going to do shit. TikTok is the worst creation platform there is.
Bring back Vine.
Bring back Vine, yeah. Well, that's the thing is TikTok, like, they're doing weird shit where they're like, all right, we're 15 seconds.
It's a Chinese company.
Oh, yeah.
That's why. Like, like, we can't even comprehend. Like, people hear, like, when stuff comes up about China and everything, like my best friend was over there during the Hong Kong
tragedy.
Everybody's like, well, like nobody even understood what was going on. So like, just the way they approach business and everything is just so different than us. Like, You're right. TikTok will still influence the way that stuff goes, but you're right. They probably won't even like put their hat in the game. They're just going to keep doing the same thing they're doing.
Let me put it this way. When I started on TikTok, I was making $20 or $30 a day. That was when I had less than 100,000 followers. That continued up until the point where I hit about 500,000, at which point my growth totally just slowed to a crawl. I had to completely change niches.
Really?
Yeah, so I went from posting entirely about paranormal stuff and folklore and all that to there was this woman who had a conspiracy theory that Rome never existed and was made up by the Catholic Church in 1478. Again, when you have a history degree, that's like just free content.
Right, yeah.
So I got another 400,000 followers out of that, but I had to completely switch over to talking about history. A lot of my old followers were like, when are you going to go back to the folklore stuff? And I was like, I can do that too. And I started doing both. And then the Missing 411 thing started spiking in popularity again. So we started talking about that again as well. And now we're talking about folklore, history, religion, Missing 411, like all this different shit.
Freemasons.
Freemasonry. I have 1.2 million followers. I'm getting more traffic per video. I'm not getting as many like super viral videos anymore, but I'm getting more average views per video than I ever did. TikTok went from paying me 20 to 30 bucks a day to less than $1.
So you literally doubled your followers and the traffic.
Yeah. Meanwhile,
quadrupled.
I'll record one YouTube video a week. We will record and edit one YouTube video a week. That video will make us more money than I make in a month on TikTok.
Wow.
In the first week.
Right.
Like TikTok is a very good platform for building an initial audience and then jumping to a different platform.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's what you got to do is really try to get them to switch to a different platform, kind of create some sort of urgency, like hey, we're doing giveaways on this channel, like stuff like that.
Also, if you're in the creative space, doesn't matter how small you are, start your Patreon. As soon as you get a little bit of a following, start your Patreon.
What does that do?
It's a subscription service, so it allows people to go and subscribe directly to your content and support you directly, rather than doing it through, running YouTube ads on your stuff.
Right.
So what you do is you provide exclusive content or prizes or whatever.
OnlyFans.
Ours, it is OnlyFans. It's the same exact style of platform, just Patreon does not allow nudity. And OnlyFans originally was
That's what,
it was a Patreon clone. They were the same thing.
Yeah, it was the same, yeah.
But OnlyFans had 18 plus content, so
yeah.
It's funny that when they were gonna stop the OnlyFans was gonna stop the nudity thing, and they immediately shut down that ban that they were gonna do because they're like, wait, you mean our app is really just for nudity? It's like, yeah,
it was just
we can't do it, we lose everyone.
It's like a rule of the internet. Anytime a platform allows porn, it becomes a porn platform. Regardless of what it is. If YouTube had not clamped down on 18 plus content early on, YouTube would be a porn platform.
Yeah. Yeah, that's absolutely would have been. I mean,
yeah, Pornhub used to be a Christian site. Man. Look at it now.
Still is a Christian site. See a lot of people doing the Lord's work on there.
Oh my God. I'm gonna put my cross back in my shirt. So my other podcast is called the Weird Bible Podcast. And that's where we talk about religion. Yeah, I'm serious. I'm 100% serious.
So one of my favorite podcasts is Bad Christian. Mm-hmm. So just because I grew up in that culture, and they really kind of tackle a lot of the taboo things that the youth pastors weren't allowed to talk about with the kid. The real stuff that the gray areas of life.
That's a lot of what we do too on that show. It's me and Wendigoon, who's a bigger YouTube creator. Mm-hmm.
Wendigo.
He's not a Wendigo, but I did say how's
He's
the
only bangable Wendigo.
I did say how's the Wendigussie once, and he almost just quit on the spot. He's not happy with me. But no, so we do the same kind of thing. We've got 4 episodes of it now. It's a monthly show, and it's live streamed. And the first one we covered the book of Daniel, which is all about dream interpretation, and then we covered hell and the concept of hell, and how the version that you and how the version that you kind of learned in Sunday school isn't actually biblical. Right. Fire and all that.
Well, it's all this, because it's so interesting because Christianity is based off the Jewish faith, and
the Jews don't have hell.
They don't believe in hell. So it's this is something I bring up with Christians all the time, and they look at me like I am the beast when I start.
Meanwhile, Wendigoon's a Sunday school teacher, and I have a religion degree. and we're both practicing Christians. And we're both sitting there like, yeah, the hell that you learned about is not the biblical hell. The biblical hell is much more of a symbolic thing, and there's not, it actually doesn't make sense from a Christian perspective when you think about like the theology that God would have a punishing area for people who just didn't believe in him.
Right.
Especially because in the Jewish version, there are versions of Jewish, not necessarily like the Torah, the Tanakh, or any of that, but there are Jewish scriptures that talk about like hell and fire and how it's a cleansing thing, but it's not eternal torment.
Right.
It's that your sins and impurities are burned away from you, and then you can enter into the kingdom of God. That's the same thing if you
It's very
run
much
through.
like a universalist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you run through Christianity, and if you look at, even the parts where, for example, in 1 Corinthians, Paul says, he gives out a list of people who are not going to enter the kingdom of God, and it includes adulterers and fratricide and homosexuals and all this different stuff. And there's been a weird movement to turn the word homosexual in there into pedophiles, even though that's not at all what the word could ever possibly mean. Because the word is arsinokotai, which is not actually a word at the time. He kind of pulled a Shakespeare and made up a word. But the word's
or maybe a
component
slang or something like that for that city.
The word's component parts, though, break up into male and to go to bed. So it kind of lies with those who go to bed with men. Like, that's kind of what you end up with. So it is saying homosexuals, but the thing is, what you should read there is not, if you're gay, you're going to go to hell. It's, this is a sin, so you will have to go through a purification process.
Right.
But once you do that, you can enter the kingdom of God. That's kind of but that's not, Paul was not the best at nuance when it comes to all of the apostles. The only one of them who was really good at nuance was Jesus.
Yeah.
So,
Shout out to my man Jesus.
but yeah, so we talked about that at length, and we had other Christians in the chat, live in the chat, like telling us we were blasphemers and heresy. And I'm literally, as we're in there, I'm pulling up the Bible verses and talking about the historical significance, because that's kind of the way the show runs. I talk more about the history.
Beat your wife if
He
she
talks
cheats
more
on
about
you.
the religion.
Right.
The Bible says actually it says kill your wife if she cheats on you, and kill the guy she cheated with.
It also says you're allowed to punish your slave.
It doesn't use the word slave.
Not anymore.
It never used the word slave. So there are two possible translations of the Jewish word that is used. One of them is servant, and one of them is more like bondsman. Bondsman is more like indentured servitude. And then in the Greek, sometimes it's kind of the same idea. Like, sometimes you can read it as slave, or you can read it as servant. In the context of the book, it reads more as servant, with an understanding that slavery is legal in the Roman Empire. So it's not saying like slavery is okay so much as it's saying like this is the law. If you have slaves, treat them well, like stuff like that. One of Paul's letters says explicitly like, slavery isn't good, but if you have one, treat them kindly.
Be good to them. Yeah.
Yeah. And so we talked about that one. We talked about the Tower of
Like
Babel.
Thomas Jefferson, bro.
God banging the slaves.
So I had a teacher.
Don't think God wanted that one.
So I was
man
really,
was
I was,
sleeping with
I,
all
was
his
I consider myself really fortunate because the school I went to, you had these teachers that were very like super dogmatic Christian, and we had this one teacher, Mr. Davis, who went to Dartmouth, super intelligent, and he started teaching. We did like a Revelation class.
Oh God!
But we also covered stuff like abortion and purgatory, all these different things. And he very much didn't like do this is what you believe if you're a Christian. Yeah. He very much was just like, here's what this side believes. Here's what this side believes. Here's what these words meant and it was like it was very much a he would even he would even say to the girls, well, if you believe that, then that means babies go to hell that die. He would just in a very, as much as he could at a Christian school, he fucked with that narrative that common Christian culture has. But his number one thing that he would always tell us, and it's funny because it kept coming up in my head as you were talking, is context is king.
Oh God, yes.
And I feel like that's something that anytime you're explaining anything in life to somebody, it kind of comes back to and I'm also I keep saying content is king now as for Red Bearded marketing,
right.
But context is king, and it's just and again when we start getting into we were talking about before this, like political arguments and just talking through things and having conversations. Like context is king for everything.
That's why Twitter has been a disaster for the human race.
Yeah.
Social media, it's like get as like bold of an opinion across as you can in as few words as possible, and it's like that is just the worst way of communicating.
Yeah.
Like,
hey, Celso, can I get another one of these delicious stateside seltzers?
yes, these stateside seltzers are in fact delicious.
So today,
It's coming from somebody who doesn't like vodka.
yeah. So since it's somebody's birthday shebang weekend, we're going light on the booze. So
Well, on the show.
yeah. So pineapple. Yeah. Well, yeah. On the show, he's gone light.
While we were on the abortion thing, the only thing I could think of is how, like, if you bang a chick that's had a couple abortions, you're just doing the graveyard smash.
Oh.
Oh my God.
I'm all about it.
Oh no.
I love how he doesn't say anything the whole show, and that's what he comes out with. I love it.
God, what was the other
Welcome
one?
to the sweater heads.
What?
Do you know what a bussy is?
Unfortunately.
Do you mind explaining to everyone?
No, I'm not going to do that.
No.
I will not be explaining
You want
pussy to anybody.
You want to know what I have for content? I have that girl Sophie looking up on Google and reading what pussy means in front of a crowd of people at the Fitz. It's pretty good. It's really good.
It was difficult enough to have to explain when dussy to my family. I'm not explaining bussy on the internet. Like, that's not happening.
Hey, be careful sipping these drinks while we talk.
Every time a new ussy comes out, I get a dozen DMs that are like,
Dude, I had ussy to everything.
dude,
Yeah.
I know that I'm not the origin.
He's like, would you like another one of those El Mariachi OC drinks?
I'm not the origin of the ussy thing. I'm well aware of that, but I do feel some responsibility for bringing it back.
All right.
Because it started a few months after when Dussy started going around and Skin Wussy and
I call my busser my bussy.
oh god,
I meant to call my buddy once, and I just said, I'm a bussy, and I'm like,
somebody sent me one that was
you are.
it was the word citrusy,
citrusy.
but of course we're all like, oh, I can't unread it, citrusy.
So I had on the menu, so the owner didn't know.
No,
Sorry, Chris. But I
No.
put a drink, the citrusy tea, and I spelt it out like that. So it's instead of one S for citrusy, I did two S's.
You know what the show is all about? And I haven't said this to anybody because I don't want to say it. Is like, we'll know when our friends are watching this show because of stuff like that. Like we throw in these little stories where we like mess with our friends or like we say something, and then I'm just waiting for like the day where they're just like, "Fuck you, man! I heard that." Like and by that time we'll probably be like 20 like episodes in. I'll be like, "What?"
What are you talking about, dude?
yeah, we on ours, my co-host, his name is Aidan also, but he's Aidan Thornberry.
Aidan Ussy.
So we've taken to calling him Thorn Bussy.
I knew my son that.
I got the slightly less hilarious Matussi. Jules has been on our show actually. She hopped on for an episode because we
Same.
were doing a special, and
cheers to
everybody called her
Tina, so
Julecy.
Yo.
Yeah, Kat. I think you've met Kat, right?
Yeah, the siren. Yeah.
She's been on. She's actually been on a number of them. We've been doing a Saturday show.
Speaking of,
And nobody has come up with an ussy for Cat.
love of my life is calling me. Sorry, I'm gonna
God.
decline it.
No, put it on speaker.
No.
Put it on speaker.
Cassadussy?
Yeah. Yeah.
No bussy.
She keeps saying, "I don't ever want to be on your podcast," but that's fine. It's actually that was on the schedule for you to never be on our podcast.
I know. I love how she tries to make it about herself all the time.
Yeah.
We were gonna have our moms on the show.
We should
for
do a
Mother's Day.
special. My
That's-
mom would just sit here and not understand anything because she does not speak. I mean, she speaks English, but it's one of those like,
Is it Spanglish?
yeah, it's like bad English.
I haven't had a relationship with my mom in like 25 years, so that would be very, very interesting.
I don't think you're supposed to have a relationship with your mom.
See, I'm doing great.
My mother and I have.
I guess we could bring our dad.
My mother and I have a great relationship.
I just have to pull out a Ouija board for mine.
Yo,
We had a Catholic priest on, or not Catholic. We had an Orthodox priest on our show. Actually, from that one.
A Jewish or
No, Christian. From that Orthodox church.
See, I don't even know what Orthodox Church is. Like, I don't know what. Like,
It's
I know a lot
very similar to Catholic in a lot of ways.
Okay.
But with there are some pretty key differences out of the two.
but with less pedophilia.
They wait till they're teenagers.
Do you know that? Do you guys know that the profession with the highest rate of sex abuse towards children is actually public school teachers?
That makes sense.
That makes a lot of sense.
Makes a lot of sense.
They deal with more kids on the regular.
It's like 10 times the Catholic priest number. It's insane.
I'm not surprised at all.
Which, like, you know, having gone to public school, like
30 kids at a time.
we had at least 3 different scandals at Conestoga. Just doxed myself. I went to Conestoga High School. Do what you want with that, guys. But we had 3 different, within the time I was there, 3 different people get arrested for inappropriate relationships with minors. All school personnel.
I just realized I'm married again.
You're married?
Yeah, I just realized I'm married again.
What do you mean?
She just texted me and I said podcasting, and she goes, "Boo, I'm hungry." I think I'm married.
Buddy, that's all you need.
I hope you're getting the benefits.
Kidding. If by that you mean constantly being annoyed, then yeah.
He gets pegged.
Oh my God!
so-
One guy in our Discord, I'm not going to say who it is, but if he ever comes across this episode, he'll know I'm talking about him. He admitted to getting pegged by his girlfriend, and for a week, the only thing all 980 some people in our Discord were talking about
Was Greg getting pegged?
was
his name
was-
Greg.
was-
Man got his
definitely not
pussy
Greg.
destroyed.
we're gonna give him a fake name. We're gonna say it's Chris. You know, Chris was getting pegged, and we all made fun of him for it. Like, it was just.
His name's David.
That's one of my favorite experiences, by the way, with like friends, is not getting pegged by them. But is
I was like, wow.
is when you're sitting there having a conversation, something comes up, and somebody like admits to something that they probably shouldn't have admitted to, and you're like when I was 17, we were at a pizza shop, and I was like, I don't get this whole eating ass meme, man. Like, what? I don't get it. And he was just like,
It's not a meme,
he
it's
just
a
got
lifestyle.
really quiet. Okay, listen, we were 17. This was back in like 2015.
Bro, I was licking butts in high school, man.
Apparently, so was my buddy.
But my
So we're sitting there, and I'm like, I
didn't get COVID.
I said something about it. I was like, yeah, man, I don't get the whole ass eating thing.
It was a joke.
And I'm like staring at him, and he's not saying anything. I'm like,
oh.
and I look at him, he looks at me. I was just sitting there, and I was like, no. And he's like, wasn't that bad? And I was like, no, dude, now I'm going to think about you and her differently. Like, never going to be able to unsee this in my mind.
When you're going out on a girl or a guy, if you're, the pussy, you just gotta sneak the tongue in a little bit. Just tongue punch that fucking leather Cheerio, right? That's all it takes.
You've said perhaps 50 words this podcast, and you chose to use those ones.
Also, like, I'm literally cranking his volume up because literally the whole time, every time he's talking to us, I can't even. I have to like strain to hear him. He's just like, pussy.
Speaking of straining to hear things,
I fucked the Wendigo, pussy.
Is that better?
I thought Jules was back on the
that's
podcast.
always-
I thought Jules was back on the podcast. I heard moaning.
that's become like one of our jokes. Like when we'll stream, like if we're doing like Call of Duty, where you've got a death chat. Like if somebody kills me or one of my buddies, it's just like, oh my god, right there.
I got 5 dudes coming on me.
They're in my back. They're in my rear. They're coming around me. They're reaching around.
So I think you should live stream on your TikTok again.
Right now.
Who did we do that with last time?
Might have been your buddy.
If my phone wasn't dead, I would.
My buddy? You need to plug
4 dudes coming on me.
Nah, it's got like 20%. But no, the whole. Oh my god. We totally lost track of where we were.
We chimed in, and like people keep asking what this podcast is about, and when we did a live, they had even more questions as to what this podcast was
Dude,
about.
I'm on the podcast, and I'm not sure what this podcast is about.
Right now, the podcast is about you.
Yeah, that's weird.
No, so here's the concept of the podcast is we wanna support local artists, local people that are doing stuff. Like if like we had a real estate agent, like, do you have a what?
Was Matt D'Antonio?
No. Like, do you have a side hustle? Is there something you do on the side? Like, how'd you get into that? How'd you get into your career? Like, but we're also like showcasing local distilleries,
Gotcha.
local booze, definitely local artists. Anybody that's doing stuff in the area. Like, we're kind of starting with Phoenixville, just because I feel like Phoenixville has so many. Like, there are some people here in this town that people don't even know about that are like pretty successful, like, musicians. Like,
Yeah.
do you know Cliff Hillis?
Name sounds familiar.
So I played with I was fortunate enough to play a show with him at Jesse Crater's thing back when he was doing it. Paradox. It was like that framing shop. It's like right across from El Burrito.
Oh, okay.
So it's not there anymore. I think it's like a sweets place. I think that's the little like chocolate place moved there. But it's just, it was nice for acoustic. Wouldn't want to do like the acoustics in there were nice. It was like very like a lot of reverberation. Anything more than that would sound horrible. Well, it's a very like there's nothing to, there's a lot of reverb in there. So
Yeah,
like,
I
it
got you.
sounds
So acoustic sounds cool.
so a good
Electric would be
acoustic
hell.
performance sounds great. A bad acoustic performance sounds way worse because but Cliff Hillis, I played with Cliff Hillis. I had no clue who he is. He's toured with like Wilco. Like he's toured with like he plays guitar regularly for Wilco. He has toured with Mick Jagger, Rolling Stones.
He's going for it.
Dude, like
He's setting it up. He's setting it up.
like he like just lives here in town. Super like he's got an original band. He's got original stuff. He's got stuff on iTunes. Really good musician. They did the fundraiser for the flood victims in Montclair last fall. But like I want to get him on the podcast. There's so many different people in this town that like, and he's just very humble. Like people people don't realize how successful he is, and he just kind of like him and his wife live here in town. And
Yeah, you should tag me in that. It'll show up on people's For You pages. Yeah.
How?
I think.
Co-host?
But I think if you tag me in it, it'll... if you can.
How do you
I know you. If you do that
I don't
with...
even know how to work at it.
I don't know if people know that about TikTok, but if you tag people in your video, especially if they interact with it, but if you tag people in your video, then that video will show up in the For You page of people that follow that person.
gotcha.
So
Gotcha.
like, if you do stuff that interacts with other people. So every time I do something that's like,
I've done live on everything else.
you go to
So what is a Wendy Gussie, dude?
Oh, there it is. Cool.
yeah.
That's what I named it.
What is a Windowsy?
What is a Wendy Gussie? Well, I do these.
So now you are also playing in Johnny's band.
Yeah. I am.
How long have you been in the band for?
So I initially joined up. Oh God, it was months ago. Probably in February or March. Johnny came to me and was like, "We want you to play guitar." And I was like, "Sure, why not? It sounds fun. I enjoy guitar." Problem with that is I am god awful at playing lead guitar. I have a lot of fun with the rhythm. I'm good with acoustic. When it comes to electric lead guitar, fuck me, dude.
What's your TikTok?
The Aidan Mattis. So yeah, so they asked me to come on and play guitar, and then Phil from Nevertheless, he's their lead guitarist.
Right.
He was filling in while I learned all the songs because it was like the sets were 80% the same as Nevertheless's sets. All you had to say Nevertheless, and kind of where we netted out was where the band netted out before I was officially a member was that they wanted Phil to take over guitar, and I was like, he's better than me.
Right.
Like, no hard feelings, Johnny. But Johnny wanted somebody to take over backing vocals because he's having throat surgery.
Did he have it this week or is it next week?
I think it's next week. He's having throat surgery.
On like he's got vocal nodes or something. Like
Yeah,
that.
something like that. And
It makes
so
me cringe as a vocalist.
same, like it's terrifying. So he asked me to stay in the band and switch over to backing vocals and also take over a few of the lower songs.
Right.
Because the main vocalist is a girl. So
Who's the main vocalist?
Nicole. Nicole, I don't know how to pronounce her last
she's
name.
really tall.
Yeah.
She's ridiculously tall.
Yeah, she's really good. Like,
She's
great.
I love her presence.
yeah, she's so much fun. And the thing was, my first show with them, she and I had only practiced together, I think, once. And like it was, there were a few spots where, like, you know, we probably need to work some stuff out, but for the most part, it felt totally natural. We were totally vibing with it. The energy was great. I felt great about it. But yeah, so I ended up moving over to that position. Might in the future pick up some rhythm guitar stuff or maybe acoustic. It really depends on the stage side, because we mostly play bars, and bar stages are usually smaller. So with 5 people in a band, you know,
Dude.
it's tough. But if we're playing bigger stages and we have some more time, I might pick up some rhythm guitar just to add some more power behind some of the thicker songs, you know.
Do it.
And also to give me something to do on songs where there's really no, like, backing vocals.
Right. Do a small tube amp. Seriously, so, like, here's the thing. I'm, like, redoing my whole... So we've been playing out, we're a 3-piece. And I play out with... I have Gravity cabs. I have, like, endorsement with them. I have... He made... They're oversized cabs, kind of like Mesa. I have 212 cabs. They're heavy as shit. They're so fucking... They have wheels, but they're still just heavy. And then I'm playing an orange Rocker 30 head and an Vox AC 30 head. And all my wet signal, all the reverb and delay is going to the Vox. And, like, my drive is just the orange.
Yeah.
It sounds fucking... It sounds ridiculous. It sounds so good. But, like, every show now, I'm like... It fills up between the 3 guitars I'm taking out. Maybe I'm taking the bass amp for the bass. Like... Plus the merch box, we have 4 different shirts. We have hats. Like, I'm just like.
Speaking of shirts, take off your shirt, Luke. Just take it off.
But no, now I'm just like, I need to do smaller combos. Like, because when we play here, it's just like it's too much.
You've got how many amps?
2 like full like half stacks.
Gotcha.
Basically. But it fills out the sound a lot.
Yeah.
It does this very weird, like, thing where like I have this one song where I'm just kind of like holding out like a D minor, and the right side of the stage is all like reverb and like it's literally like doing this weird like washy thing, and it sounds fucking sick. Like yesterday we got to the venue and it was really small, just like you were saying, and I was like, I'm just gonna do one rig, but it changed the way that the reverb functions and how like everything about how I've been playing it changes.
Right.
So my recommendation would be like just a 15, like you know, they get loud enough you can mic it. You're micing everything anyway.
Yeah.
But just like a small little setup that'll add to it. Don't overcomplicate it because you guys have so much going on.
We do have a lot going on.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing is, like, I do know that part of the reason that I'm not currently playing guitar is that it's a small stage and all that, but also it would just like be a lot more setup to get that second guitar and make sure that the sound is leveled right. I got to build myself a pedal board because I always like when I've been playing guitar, there's always been a pedal board.
Right.
Like I've been either using someone else's or it was at School of Rock, and you know we had our pedal board set up for us. I was playing rhythm guitar anyway, so for me, I basically had a clean, distorted, and an overdrive, and that was all I really needed to use.
I don't even play clean.
I have no reason
That's
to.
our side, yeah.
Like, but yeah, I mean, that is one thing I do miss though is singing and playing guitar, because when you're just up there are moments where you're like, I'm not really doing anything.
Right.
Like it's nice to at least be able to stand there and like strum a few chords
Right.
or something like that. You know, play a little minor pentatonic scale over something. Just like add some fill. Like when you're just singing, especially if all you're doing is backing vocals on a song.
Oh yeah.
Like you got to find something to do to fill the space and fill the time. And
Right.
you know, I've been doing it long enough. I've been performing since I was 14. So. And before that, I was acting. So it was funny. I did Camp Jam when I was 14. That was when I first started playing music again. I'd learned guitar a little bit when I was a kid, but I got back into it then, and that's when I picked up singing as well. And I remember asking one of the counselors, you know, how I did at the end of the week. And he was like, well, you're not the best guitarist here, and you're definitely not the best vocalist here, but you've got great stage presence. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to take that as a compliment. And that was just how I performed for the next 4 years until I finally learned how to sing. I was just like, all right, well, I'm going to sing as few notes as I possibly can, and I am going to go absolutely ham with the stage presence.
Yeah.
And it balanced out well enough to the point where I think now that I actually do have some technical skill at singing, it's a really good performance.
Right.
Whereas before it was like, I was compensating.
Right.
But once you don't have to compensate anymore and you still keep up the energy, it's actually like,
Right.
it's
I
sick.
don't
And you kind of
compensate in the
understand that, like, that's where,
bedroom.
like, the really great rock and roll performers probably came from, is like that they really put it all out there because they were, nervous, or they weren't confident
Right.
about their playing abilities, so they
Right.
compensated by being incredible performers. And then when you get the people who do that and then keep working to get better and better technically, that's when you get the true, like, phenomenal musicians like Eddie Vedder and people like that who just, it's just a totally different performance. If you
Right.
go and I've seen Green Day twice, and oh my God, make fun of Green Day all you want for being simplistic in terms of the music that they're playing. First of all, the bass is not simplistic at all. Neither
No,
are the drums.
not at all.
The guitar is pretty, yeah.
Yeah, like,
But, like, you go and you see them now, and you think about, how simple the stuff they were playing was back then, that they were putting on a great show for people. Now they're technically really good. And you go and you watch them, and you're like, this is one of the best live performances I've ever seen.
yeah.
It's
Well, dude, there's stuff they have a show on Broadway now.
Yeah, oh my God.
He's definitely become a powerhouse.
I think Green Day is going to be up there as, like, one of the, like, the Who of our time.
I'm
Like,
surprised Weezer hasn't done something like that, actually.
I like Weezer. I genuinely enjoy listening to Weezer. There's a weird stiffness.
He's always been like that.
Like,
Like-
I think it's because he's super intelligent.
I think it's all. I think it has. It's. I feel like I've been watching videos lately, and he's not. I feel like he's definitely a little bit more relaxed on stage.
Yeah.
A little bit more now. But like that was the one thing that like I remember people going to see Weezer like when I was in high school and college, and then to that like, and people were just like, I love their stuff, man, but like he just like doesn't move. Like
Yeah.
he's just like they're just like
Stiff as a board.
Dude, I
Yeah.
will say no hate to anybody that I like grew up playing with and shit, but at School of Rock, they taught you how to be really technically good. At least the one I went to, it's a nationwide chain. I went to the
Right.
one in Berwyn. So they taught. First of all, we had some of the best musicians I've ever met in my life because I grew up on the main line and everybody had resources. Like, everybody's parents were buying them 3 different guitars and private lessons
I
with
was selling them that shit at Sam.
Privileged.
Exactly, and meanwhile, I'm sitting there, working at a coffee shop to pay my way through music school.
Right.
So I had one guitar. It was a hand-me-down from my cousin. Like, I didn't own a microphone.
Vinny?
The only time, yeah,
We'll get into that. In a
it
minute.
was one of his. Yeah, the little Squire Strat that he loaned me until I finally got my guitar, which is a Fender Tele. But it's beautiful and I love it, and so much fun. But they taught technical ability really well, and you had some of these really incredible musicians who were very good at playing, but oh my God, they didn't teach you to perform.
Right.
And I've asked them, when I was coming home over the summer or whatever, I was like, during college, I was like, hey, could I, you guys gave me the scholarship program, like, could I come back and, repay it by helping out with performance lessons and stuff? Because that is the one thing that I think we all agreed I was good at, was the actual stage presence. And it was because I had a theater background. I did summer stage from the time I was in 4th grade up through like 8th or 9th. So for me, like my background was in stage performance. It wasn't in music. For everybody that was doing this, it was in music, and they were really good musicians and just, got every note right every single time. But they would stand stiff as a board on stage, and just like, especially the singers, it would just be like the entire time. And you're like, move around, jam, vibe, bang your head a little bit. Like, if you're the singer and you're not playing an instrument, if you don't wake up the next morning and your entire back hurts, then you weren't performing. You did not go hard enough.
Definitely takes me like a song or two to like
to loosen up.
loosen up and get comfortable with the stage.
but once you've
hopefully
loosened
it's
up-
only 2 songs because sometimes, depending on sound guy or whatever technical issues. So funny enough, we didn't realize this until what 3 months ago.
Yeah,
Like,
it was recently.
that so your cousin is Vinny, and I know Vinny through Alex Sadek.
I also know Alex Sadek.
So Alex Sadek helped us record our last full length.
Dude, he's so good.
Dude, he's I'm mad that he is not like fucking famous.
He should be.
Like the songs that the Go Around play, like Salt in My Lungs, like that whole album. I went back and like,
I Fought is the one that like I listen to over and over again.
dude, that whole album is so good.
Yeah.
But our old guitarist Eli, he built the 2 baritone guitars I have. He built, and then Vinny, like Eli's like a technical geek. Like he's an engineer by back. Like that's what he does for a day job. Very good audio engineer. And then he started getting into building guitars because he geeks. When we would play, when he was in the band, like people would come up and they would be blown away by our tone because like we both have tube amps, we both have good gear, and he started getting into making guitars. So he made my baritones, and he ended up making Vinny's, the one that Vinny has, which is very much looks like the Bruce Springsteen Telly.
I did not know that his electric was a custom build.
Yeah. Our old guitarist Eli made that for him.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So Eli, I want to say it was like 3 or 4 years ago. Vinny came up and Alex from Nashville. It was like right after they moved. It was like Thanksgiving time, and they played in media at like I think they rented out like the old church that he used to go to, let him rent out the hall. And our old guitarist Eli filled in for both bands. So he played with Vinny and he played with Alex. But yeah, he built that guitar. I think that was like the first show like Vinny was playing it.
No shit.
It's a really cool guitar. Yeah.
That's such a funny connection.
Yeah. Dude, Vinny is like I'll list his stuff in the links and stuff, but like I've been watching him like just evolve for the last like 6-7 years. And like he's such a good songwriter.
Oh my god!
And the lyrics he writes, and even just like that acoustic EP he put out is like one of my favorite things. It's like 3 songs on it.
Yeah, and there's one from when I was in like probably 8th grade that he released. It was a bunch of like SoundCloud stuff, and some of the stuff even back then is just it's amazing. It's incredibly well written.
I think so. He has some songs that are only on SoundCloud.
Yeah, he does.
That's why I forget to listen to them because they're only on SoundCloud, and then when I'll pull up SoundCloud,
it's been driving me nuts.
To listen to stuff that I've demoed, that's where I have it, and I'll be like, oh yeah. When I'm done, I'm like, oh yeah, Vinny's got stuff on here, and then I go and I listen.
He's getting married this year.
Is he?
Yeah, in November.
All right.
Yeah, he's gonna be the first one of us in our extended family. He's gonna be the first cousin to get married.
All right. Down in Nashville.
Yeah. So we're all going down there.
All right.
It's going to be a lot of fun. My birthday is the day before the wedding, too.
I'm going to crash the wedding.
But no, he's...
be your +1.
He is genuinely just such a good musician, such a good songwriter. And it's funny because he and I had kind of a very similar experience. Like the weak part of our performance was our vocals. And like it's been really cool seeing his vocal performance improve the way it has. Because he was never bad. He was never bad. Yeah, it's just he's gotten so much more range and tone. And like,
so that's the cool thing about his voice is like it's not. And I've kind of been like taking like a leaf from this is like because I try to like I can belt, I can sing high like, and I feel like I almost try to overdo it sometimes. And like Vinny, like that's the cool thing that I've been watching as he's evolved is like. He doesn't have this crazy range. He's not trying to Maroon 5 and sing high, and like he's not like going all over the place. Like it's not like Alex Sadek who can sing.
Alex's voice is phenomenal.
He's like an insane singer. Like I never hear a bad performance when he's singing. But like just Vinny like hones in on the lyrics and like the richness of his voice. Like instead of like being super flashy with vocals, it's just something like with the way he writes, like he writes like super deep, emotional lyrics, and it just like it hits really hard. I love it.
He's doing what he needs to do, not like throwing any flashy shit in there, and it works really well because a lot of people try and do flashy stuff and they just can't pull it off.
Yeah,
and there's nothing more uncomfortable than watching someone perform and like. seeing them try too hard and it goes wrong. Like, and I say that as somebody who I have done it.
Yeah.
I did a show at School of Rock where we did Jesus of Suburbia.
Right.
And I tried to throw in a more flashy, like, up there note, and I missed it.
Right.
And it was just like, oh, I cranked. The video's on my YouTube channel, actually, still. Because my YouTube used to be my personal YouTube. I hadn't started a new channel for the Lore Lodge. I just switched over to the branding. So it's still back there, but you can just hear me miss that one note. And every time I hear it, I'm like, I killed the entire song except for that one.
But you're beating yourself up over that one note.
This hurricane of freaking nice line. But I tried to put way too much power behind it and do more of a harmony on that lies note, and I missed it, and it's just so uncomfortable to listen to now. And I kicked myself like 6 years later, just for missing one note in a show at School of Rock of all places. Like,
We still believe in you, man. We still believe in you.
it's painful. It's a painful memory.
I'm at the point now where I'm like, I'm not trying to do it. The only time I'm trying to do something new vocally live is I might scream it instead of singing it.
Yeah.
And I took that chance when we did Dogwood the other week because it was also like hot as hell.
Yeah.
And you're just tired when you're on that stage, and the sound guy, there was a bunch of technical difficulties when we started. And I was just like, I don't know how this is going to sound. I haven't screamed this part. And I just did this gut-wrenching scream. And Gunner from Tucked In came. I don't know if have you checked them out? Dude, check them out.
Okay.
Dude, they're insane. They're so. I don't even know how to like explain what they sound like.
Heavier or not as heavy as Bullet for My
heavy
Valentine?
At all. Not at all. They're like what would you like?
They were here the other day.
They did a Motown song. They did No Diggity. They did like but they play like this like a classic rock.
I wasn't
almost like
listening until they played Mr. Brightside. I mean, I was bartending, to be fair. I never listened to a lot of people.
No, they do stuff like almost like a blues, like some of it's kind of bluesy, some of it's like kind of classic rock, but like they have this their own sound, and the way they filled out their band with the musicians now, it's just like they can do 4-part harmonies and shit, and it's just
Right.
But Gunner was just like I don't even know what song it was. I'm guessing it's the one song. Now I'm thinking back, but it was just like that scream you did, dude. And I was just like, I was tired, and I was like, I'm gonna scream it instead of sing it. And I just did this like low growl to a screeching high scream, but that's the only chances I'm taking nowadays. And it was definitely like the give me that pineapple, big boy, or black cherry.
How did you learn to scream?
I got divorced.
How did you learn to scream? I got divorced.
So. All right. So like, it's funny, but it's not a joke. I never got good at screaming. Been singing since like started singing at like 15, 16. Like I could always kind of do like a low scream thing. It was never very good. Like it would work well for recordings, like as like a background type of thing. Mm-hmm. Here and there, just to fill out the vocals parts. I don't know, man. When I got like, we had this album. We were Waking Mercury.
This thing's hit.
We had this album where the songs were kind of all. Some of them were about,
harder
like,
than
about
that
love, some were
pre-stick.
about different things. But like when I got divorced, I started singing them different. Mm-hmm. Like everything was more emotional.
Nothing to improve your performance like emotional trauma.
So here's the way my old.
That's what I use in the gym.
Dylan explained.
No pre-workout.
He's like, you've been singing these songs for 2 years now.
Gains and pains.
He's like, but now you're singing them.
Yeah.
Like you're feeling emotions. I'm taking myself back to the emotions of the songs more, just because I was in an emotional state.
I find it's easier to do that when you're playing guitar too. For some reason, like I feel like it's easier to really get into the emotions when you're also playing an instrument, and I don't understand it, but that's always how it's been for me.
Well, I think it's the psychology of it. It's because like I wrote because like there's something there's something transient about when you really write something. Like there are some songs where I'm just like, I don't know how I did that. Like I don't know where that came from.
Yeah.
Like there have been some songs where like literally like people always like laugh, but I think it's a psychological thing. Is like writing stuff comes to me like when I'm in the shower, or like in the bathroom. I think it's because like you're disconnecting from everything else, and it's like that white noise. You've got like either the shower running or that like that fan thing in the bathroom, and I think you're just kind of like turning off your brain to everything else. And like there are certain songs where like I literally heard like on that album As the Night Goes On, I literally heard this weird chorus like it's a weird time signature change in the chorus. I literally heard it full band in my head, and I'm just like, I don't understand where that like comes from. So I think the fact that you're playing guitar, as opposed to like somebody else playing the guitar when you wrote the part, I think you're, especially when you get in that emotional state, you're really time traveling back to that. I think that's where the magic is if you're able to, especially if it's a song you've been playing for a long time.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's not even traveling back to that part and how you felt when you were writing it. But maybe like, because like we have a song called "Picture of My Confusion" on that album, and like I wrote that 20 years ago now. But like, and it's so it means it's completely different what it meant when I wrote it. But like now you're able to kind of translate
feel it differently.
Current things that have to do with why you wrote that song, and you're able to kind of put yourself in that mindset. So I think and I think playing the guitar at the same time really hones you into that mindset, because you're there's something to like actually feeling the notes like while you're playing, like feeling like fit.
Let's cover every single time I've had sex in excruciating detail.
It's one time at band camp.
Please cut that part out. That's bad.
How'd you lose your virginity?
We're not going here.
No, Celso. What was his name?
I'm scared of this story. I'm terrified of where this is going to go.
So I was pressured into actually having sex for the first time. It was with a close friend of mine, and literally, like, we weren't, or she unfriended me because I said no the first time.
Yeah, women don't like it when you tell them no.
She's
Wait,
like, "You're my friend.
You
You're
like on
supposed to help
Facebook or in
me."
real life?
Like in real life. She's like, "You're my best friend. You're supposed to help me. Like, best friends help each other." Like, she was,
I feel like there's a difference between helping somebody and sleeping with them.
yeah, I work out when I'm stressed. She's like, I like to have sex when I'm stressed. And I'm like, bro.
Still help, but you know.
Yeah, and
that is also
manipulative.
That is also being very manipulative.
No, but anyways, when we did it, like, you know, she apologized for how she said all that, but then she did it again. She's like, "You're supposed to help me." And I felt bad, so I just said, "Fuck it. I don't want to go through that again." We did it, and I peed inside her.
What?
Because I didn't
What?
know, yeah.
No, just slow down.
Yeah, I love how
Slow down. You can't just gloss over
She
that.
didn't want to stop until I came, so I just peed a little bit inside of her, and I'm like,
So you faked an orgasm, got
yeah,
it.
and I'm like, oh, I'm done.
We've all been there.
And then she tried to tell me she was pregnant. And I was like, I promise you, you're not. I'm like, I promise you, you're not pregnant.
She's like, "You're inside me," and you're like, "Oh, I sure am."
I was not having a good time. I cried afterwards, man.
I'll never forget.
You ever take melatonin and Viagra and see if you could finish before you pass out?
I can't say I have.
What's the name of that race?
There
I feel like we gotta have a name for that.
we go.
Because that's gonna be a question we're gonna start asking people. Yo, you ever done the blue race?
The blue race.
Because both pills are kind of blue, aren't they?
I don't know. Melatonin, I associate it with purple for some reason.
If it's NyQuil.
Yeah. Well, what isn't?
You ever take NyQuil?
Yeah.
You ever take NyQuil and then try and stay up?
No. Does
Bad
it make
plan.
you trippy?
Oh my god!
I put NyQuil in my mom's wine a lot when I was younger because I would sneak out on a school night. And she would come home.
You just sit here and casually confess to crimes.
She would ask me to. Well, so the crime
that's
was that I
actually-
was underage pouring her drinks. She asked me to pour her a glass
true,
of wine
that's
all the
fair.
night.
That's actually the theme of our show.
So-
It's to get Celso to admit to crimes.
This is just one giant sting operation.
So she would ask me for wine, and I would pour it, but I would throw a little NyQuil in there, and then and I did this before it was like because I used to sneak out a lot, and I needed her to be asleep, so I would leave, go to a friend's house, and it'd be fine because I'd go to school when technically she's not even awake, and I came back. This is years ago, and I come back from the military, and she's like talking to some friends because she's drinking Coors Lights, and she's like, "I used to be able to just drink one glass of wine, and I would go to sleep, and I slept great. I don't know what happened." And I'm just like, "Oh shit!" Like I'm looking, like I'm laughing now hysterically. While she's like, "What?" And I'm like, "Mom, I used to fucking put NyQuil in your wine." And she's like, "What the fuck?" She was like, "That's why I fell asleep all the time. It wasn't the wine, like me switching it up because she used to drink."
Oh my God.
She drank massive amounts of Coors Lights, the little 8 ounces. She would throw back like a fucking 12-pack and then go to bed. And she wanted to switch over to wine instead of doing the Coors Lights. And she thought
Lower
it
calorie.
was fucking working. She thought one glass was enough. And then I left, and she's like, "I don't know, man. Like it used to do the trick. Now I'm back to the Coors Lights." And I'm like, "Oh shit." Maybe you should throw a little bit of NyQuil in it.
I used to take it to treat. This is really bad, but so I used to have an undiagnosed anxiety disorder, which has since been diagnosed and is being handled. But before I knew that that's what was going on, I just thought I had really bad insomnia. So I would take NyQuil for it. Problem was, at the time I was dating this girl who, we were long distance at the time, so we'd usually fall asleep on like FaceTime or some shit like that, and she'd like, like the FaceTime call would still be going, and she'd like get up, go to the bathroom or something, and wake me up, and it would wake me up in the middle of like 2 hours into the NyQuil.
Oh, that's not good.
And I'd wake up and I'd just be like on a different planet. I was in an entirely different dimension.
Dude, I call it roofing myself. Like when I want to like sleep real hard, like if I'm not feeling good, I'll take like a piece of an edible and I'll take a melatonin. And for some reason, like statistically, my oldest dog will for some reason wake me up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom, and I'm so worried I'm gonna like walk into the train tracks or like because I'm like right on the train tracks like on the north side. I'm literally a zombie. Like, and I'm just so scared that I'm gonna like. I don't know. I'm just being paranoid, but like, like you're in a completely different. You're like you don't even know if you're real.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah,
I know what you mean.
And that's actually why I started. So I was very much against smoking weed for like my whole life, and then I got divorced. And I was like, I'll do drugs, but
I'll do drugs.
I'll do drugs. That didn't work.
You get divorced, you do some drugs.
Yeah,
it's just what you do.
I was just like, you know what, like. I was told my whole life marriage is gonna be this beautiful thing, and I was like, you know what, like I'm just gonna do some drugs. It's gonna be better.
Why is everyone in this town on like divorce number 1 or 2? Like,
it's life, man. It's life.
That was one thing that took me by surprise coming from like growing up in Devon. Was just getting out here, and I was like, man, there was a lot of people who've been divorced.
Yeah.
And that's just not something we experienced all that often growing up.
Well, I think NyQuil was the reason why I was just like, you know what, I'm just going to try weed. Because, like...
because it's better for you than NyQuil?
Well, every time I would take NyQuil when I was sick, I would have, like, the trippiest, like, literally, like, taking a hard edible, like, a really, like, high-dose edible. So, like, I was just like, what's the difference? Like, I'm like, literally, what is the difference of me taking that versus NyQuil? Like, if it's like, so why is that not bad?
So I don't like recreationally smoke weed, but I am one of those people who is aware of the medical benefits that it has.
Yeah.
And it seems entirely to me like the reason that it's still illegal is not at all to do with like it being bad for you or moral shit. It's just the pharmaceutical companies don't want to make it legal. Like. Because think about all the things that you wouldn't have to take if you could just go get, like, not even like an edible or just something THC derived. You can even have stuff that's inert that doesn't make you high.
It's just the CBD stuff.
Yeah, like, if you could...
Cock and ball
because
destruction.
It's not the THC that's...
All I heard was cock and balls, and I'm like, I guess I'm.
You said cock and ball destruction.
Okay.
That's
what CBD is.
All I was saying in the back of my mind was like, cool. I'll figure out what he just said when I'm editing this.
Yeah, so
cock and ball destruction.
But what I was gonna say was that like the benefit, like you can calm down panic attacks. You can help with insomnia. It increases appetite for people who are sick. Like, there are so many things that it does. I'm not going to say it's a miracle drug. People are like, weed cures cancer. Fuck it. Like, it's so stupid. No, it doesn't. It just lessens some of the symptoms and can slow the growth of tumors, just like a million other things.
Right.
Chocolate does that.
Right.
Like, no, chocolate does not cure cancer. Chocolate can just help with some of the symptoms. So, like, there's that. But, you know, think about, like, everything that would become unnecessary, like Zoloft, Ativan, any of the sleep drugs. Like, anything that affects, you know, your brain.
Sleep drugs. Like,
Yeah, like it'll.
and the side effects on those are scary.
Yeah, and I started taking CBD instead of my Ativan to go to bed each night. I haven't taken Ativan since November.
It's probably more effective too.
Oh yeah, 100%. Because it's just what I need when I'm having like that anxiety-induced insomnia is just something to calm down the anxiety.
Right.
So the Ativan worked really well, but the problem with Ativan is it screws with your memory. It will totally, and this is not just me experiencing this. This is everybody I know who's ever been on Ativan consistently to the point where they're taking it at least once a day.
Right.
And that was prescribed. That wasn't like I wasn't, you know, illicitly getting it. I was
Right.
prescribed Ativan to fix this. Part of the reason I wasn't prescribed marijuana is because I didn't want to give up my guns. Like, I did.
That's right. You can't. What is it?
You can't have both a medical card and a firearm. You
But
can't have
that's
both.
like to carry, right?
No, you
Because
can't own it.
You can't own.
You can't own or
even
buy.
home rifles and stuff
Nope.
like that.
You cannot own or buy a gun.
Glad I
if-
don't have that.
But you could be a raging alcoholic. And
Yeah. Also, you can smoke weed without a medical card and own a gun. I mean, legally you can't, but like,
Right.
if you go
Definitely don't do that,
get the
guys.
medical card, then you're legally obligated to hand over your guns. And I was not going to do that. So
Right.
I'm not doing that.
So instead, I got on a benzodiazepine because that's less dangerous than THC. And
I know nothing about these drugs, so
so benzodiazepines are
popular in Delco. That's all I know.
well, yeah, that's very true. But essentially, what
Shout
they
out Delco.
the effect they have, I don't know the chemical process, but the effect that they have is they just like slow down your nervous system.
Really?
Yeah, like it basically just it's like hitting a kill switch on your brain.
It's crazy.
So you still get the basic functions like eating and sleeping and talking and all that, but
Right.
it really, like, I felt the entire time I was on it, I felt like there was a wall in my brain. Like that I just could not get past whenever I was actually under the influence of it, which of course, because I had to take it every night and sometimes during the day, was all the time. And the same thing with Zoloft. Zoloft just made it even worse. You know, I was on both of them. Just it was constant, just this fog.
Yeah.
And then
And
once
then
I
you
got
went to
off of it,
rehab.
I was like, "Holy
Got
shit!
better.
I am so much sharper." I'm the person I was before I got on these drugs
Right.
for these things, and like, you know, for years I developed the anxiety disorder when I was like 16. For years I was very anxious but mentally sharp, and then I was not anxious but mentally dull, and now I'm off of it and handling it with the CBD stuff.
Cock and balls.
Yes, I'm handling it with the cock and ball destruction.
What are you talking about? Cock and ball destruction.
CBD, cock and ball destruction.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
you had me really worried. I'm like, shit. Am I?
It makes sense.
Okay.
It does make sense.
Okay.
I hear him. I got you.
I thought you were trying to tell us. I thought you were trying to tell us that there's some sort of medical thing with weed.
Wait. So if
destroys
CBD
your
is cock and ball
balls.
destruction, what's THC?
You don't want to know. No, we're not going there. We're not going there.
I said if cock and ball destruction. If CBD is cock and ball destruction, then what's THC?
Yeah, what did he say? I can't hear him.
Twist her clit. Twisting her clit.
All right, I prefer CBD. Seems less dangerous.
Well,
Also, I have to pee again really bad.
Jesus
Is that all right?
go
Christ.
for it, man. Go.
Me and Luke will talk
I don't
about.
know, man. I don't know what's going on. Oh, I can't go that way.
We'll talk about his rehab.
Who's rehab?
So after you got married, you know, you had your drug problem, and you went to rehab,
I
right?
smoked a joint, man. I couldn't.
How was rehab, dude?
It was great, man. All the people I went to school with in Delco were there.
Oh, God.
You know when they started putting Wawas down in Florida, right? So all the boys from Delco felt like they were at home when they were in rehab.
There you go. Oh man, the fuck was I gonna say?
You are in slow motion today,
I'm
man.
drunk still from last night. Last night was my birthday. All right.
Yeah, how old? 28?
Yeah.
28?
Excuse me.
Would you, did anybody get you anything cool for your birthday?
My sister got me a bottle of El Tesoro tequila, which is one of my current favorite tequilas that I can get at the state store. And a lot of people Venmo me and Cash App me to buy shots, and that's the problem. So I ironically posted my Venmo and Cash App on Snapchat and on Facebook, and not expecting the love that I got. And it was a good handful of money, so I ended up like just throwing it in some GoFundMes for friends, and then still bought booze with the rest. So it was a good time. I bought kids ice cream with it today too. So
Where'd you guys go for ice cream?
Petrucci's.
Have you guys been to the new gelato place in town? It's good, man. It's not cheap.
Yeah, I'm not a gelato person though.
Yeah.
I like the classic. You know, I like.
There's a
to go-
bougie person I've been hanging out with. You know, she likes gelato, so.
Your wife.
Yeah, my wife.
Your wife.
Yeah. Have you guys done Brown Cow?
Yeah.
Okay.
Brown cow's a good favorite of mine.
Yeah.
I like their butter pecan.
I feel like I haven't been there forever.
Every time I want it though, I forget I don't have cash on me, and that's all it is.
I never carry cash.
I'm not gonna hit the ATM for.
That's why I go to. Yeah, that's why I go to Petrucci's. Is that how you pronounce Petrucci's?
Petrucci's.
Petrucci's. I do.
Petrussi.
Petrussi. Yo, they have every once in a while. They didn't have it last time I went there with my wife, but they had tiramisu ice cream.
At gelato.
No, at Petrucci's. I think my go-to is they always have it is the salted pretzel caramel one. That's like my go-to if they have the tiramisu one, I go for that one. Have you done the ice cream places here in town, Brown Cow and
Petrussi's.
Petrussi's?
I grew up with Petrucci's, so I've been getting that since I was a little kid. My dad moved out to Phoenixville when I was 7. Started like quasi growing up here at that point. So I've gone there for a long time. I've been to Brown Cow, but it was once.
Okay.
Probably when I was in high school, which is weird because I lived down the street from it.
Right.
But no, I gotta get more into the local stuff. I was spoiled growing up. We had a Handles.
Really?
Right down the street. Yeah.
Wait, where at?
The nearest Handles to this place, I think, Royersford, but in Berwyn.
Oh, the one. Yo, that's Handles.
There's a Handles in Berwyn. Yeah.
I didn't realize it was Handles. I've been to that one a ton of times.
Yeah, it's really good. And then of course, there's no way of being spoiled when it comes to ice cream more than going to Penn State, because the Penn State Creamery is just the best ice cream you're ever gonna have. Ben and Jerry from Ben and Jerry's.
Say creamery again.
Creamery.
One more time.
Creamery.
End of the mic.
Creamery.
Guys, I just creameried.
I'm gonna creamery myself.
Creamery.
Wait, so I've never heard about this, and I
Yeah,
used to go
so
to Penn
the-
State like every 2 weeks.
So
for like
the-
a couple years.
Yeah, the Creamery at Penn State is part of the School of Food Science.
What?
So the ice cream you get at the Creamery in Penn State is chemically designed to taste the best it possibly can, which is why there's a running joke that like getting a milkshake at the Creamery is ruining the ice cream, because the ice cream is designed to be perfect in its
Right.
ice cream form.
Right.
So all the ice cream you get at Penn State is like chemically perfect.
So that's the company up there is
No, Ben and Jerry from Ben and Jerry's, before they like became Ben and Jerry's, took an ice cream making class at Penn State. So Ben and Jerry's ice cream is Penn State educated ice cream. That's why it's so good.
right.
Penn State certified.
So, but the thing is, like, if you go there, and when you're a freshman, you go there the most, because most freshmen live in East Halls.
You mean like Penn State's ice cream that they serve on campus?
Yeah.
Okay,
No, the
I'm
one
thinking
they
like,
sell in
oh, what's the
Kutztown.
name of this company? Okay,
No, it is Penn State's like food science department.
that makes the ice cream
That
that's in the
makes the ice cream.
cafeterias.
Yeah. so
That's why I don't know what you're talking about, because
Yeah.
like I'm like Although I was going to Penn State, we had
Maybe I should take that class.
DVD machines before Redbox was a
Throw it
thing
into
up there.
mixology.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea.
Dude, it was amazing. It was so their cookies and cream is by far my favorite ice cream that I've ever had. But you go up there and you get it, and it's just like you get this giant scoop in a waffle cone, and it's just perfect. And they've got it in all of the dining
You
halls.
got blue waffles?
So when you're a freshman at Penn State, not only do you get almost all of your meals from the dining hall
Right.
in your quad, you also, if you're in East, like, I think it's like 60% of freshmen live in East halls. If you're in East, you basically every single class you're going to take is going to be west of the creamery. So you pass the creamery at least once or at least twice a day, every single
So
day.
the freshman 15 is a real thing there.
Yeah, so when I was at Penn State, I was so scared of gaining the freshman 15 that I actually lost 30 pounds. Because I started running I would run 3 miles a day.
Right.
I would lift. I would eat nothing but grilled chicken, broccoli, and chocolate milk.
You're saving all your calories for the ice cream.
Yeah, so I get ice cream once a week. That was literally it. And I didn't realize it at the time because I definitely had some body dysmorphia issues that I just didn't realize were there.
I suffer from that.
But I didn't realize at the time, I got skinny.
That's why Hulk over here is ripping out of his shirt.
Yeah, so I want you guys to look at me right now, though. How much do you think I weigh?
I have no idea.
If you had to take a guess.
How tall are you?
5'9".
I want to say 185.
I weigh 200 pounds.
How much do you think I weigh? I'm 6'1".
210.
235.
Damn.
170.
How tall are you?
5'8.5" or something like that.
See, 260.
I'm like 285.
Damn. Yeah, but
I was like,
But-
I was
so-
like 320 when I was married.
But look at me, right? This is 200 pounds. I was 100.
Get it while it's good, ladies.
I was
200 pounds
100
here, thick and juicy.
We're taking biddings now.
I was 145 pounds when I was 19.
Oh, when I was 19, dude, I was 150.
I was so
But
small.
I was lanky, skinny, and I had an obsession with wanting to get bigger. And now when I look at myself, I hate myself.
Yeah.
Because I think I look, I guess, fat.
Yeah, I know the feeling.
And it's weird getting my friends when they're like, bro, the muscles are good, and it's like I'm fucking no, dude.
And the thing
I
is,
wanna lose weight now, but then also I look at myself sometimes. And I'm just like, dude, I'm fucking small. I need to go fucking. I'm like, what is?
And I've
I
found
go back
as I
and
get
forth
older,
all the time, I go back and forth where I'm like, I'm too small, I'm too big, I'm too small, I'm too big.
as I get older, I'm more and more
looking at
okay
your
with
dick,
not
Celso.
being. I'm more and more okay with not having abs as I get older.
Oh, I'm that's
I'm not. I will never have abs ever again. I'm aware of that.
Whoa.
I think the skinniest I can get back down to would probably be 165, 170. And even then, I would probably start losing the mass up here, and I don't want to do that. Although I will say I have had to go. I'm 5'9". When I hit 185, I had to switch to large shirts because of my bones.
I'm rocking XLs now because large, they fit perfect, but after a wash and dry, they don't fit perfect anymore.
Yeah.
So now I'm buying XLs, and I hate it because XLs for
This
some
is a
reason
large.
XLs are way too big.
This is a large.
XLs are way too big. They shrink. The XLs won't shrink though. I don't know why.
I pulled a size medium out of my closet today, and I was like, maybe I can wear that. And I held it up and looked at it. I was like, this is a child's garment.
When I cut
I've been losing weight 2 ounces a day.
2 ounces a day.
It's a very specific exercise regimen that I've
God.
been doing.
Mine will fluctuate 5 pounds in either direction. If I weigh myself at noon, where I go to bed will be 5 pounds heavier. Where I wake up will
That's
be 5
usually
pounds
when I
heavier.
lose my 2 ounces
Oh
too,
my
is
God.
around noon.
The fuck is your work schedule like?
I mean,
What are you doing?
I make my work schedule.
That's
so.
fair, yeah. That 9 to 5 grind, I love it so much. Working full time as a content creator and also full time as a marketing director. I love
hate
it.
myself full time.
Oh, same.
Yo,
Yeah,
this-
the marketing's a 40-hour a week job. The self-loathing is 24/7.
so what's your day job?
My day job, I am a marketing director for a insurance brokerage.
Okay, what kind of insurance?
All health, life, Medicare.
Oh wow, so it's a conglomerate of all kinds of different stuff.
Yeah, we cover health, life, Medicare, disability, supplemental, and small group.
Okay.
So, and it's kind of funny, like I'll look at who we actually insure and I see like local names that I know.
Right.
Because we do a lot of small business and a lot of self-employed. And then on top of that, a lot of supplemental and a lot of Medicare. I designed the website. I run our CRM. I do support stuff. I do the SEO writing. I do ad placement, like
Yeah.
the whole thing. It's a lot. My least favorite part is interacting with our customers.
Right.
With our not our insurance customers, with our CRM customers, because man, insurance agents, a lot of them are older, the ones that use our stuff, and they just don't get technology, and they're very nice people, but I get to a certain point where I'm like, no, you're inputting the email in the wrong field. That's the password field. Like, you need to put the email in the email field, the field that says email. Like,
Yeah.
and it's just that kind of thing you're just repeating over and over and over and over and over again. And
Yeah. Do you know how fun it is to try to explain to them what it's going to cost for real marketing for those like individual agents? They don't get it at all.
thankfully, I have not had to do it yet, but
Yeah.
like, I remember telling somebody if they were looking for a real website, like with functionality, not just, a basic homepage and a contact form. I was like, listen, if you're looking at a real website where there's going to be, if you're talking about SEO and, like actually getting your ad placements out there, collecting leads, the whole suite of things, you're looking at probably $3,000 to $5,000. And they were like, that seems like a lot. And I'm like, no, a lot's like 20.
Yeah.
And that's what people pay for, like, full like e-commerce business stuff for corporations. Like, if you want a one pager, yeah, you can get that for $600 to $800.
Yeah.
If you want SEO on top of it, you're going to be paying another $500 if it's a one-time thing. If you want, like,
And that's another thing. It's never a one-time thing.
no, because things change too much. Like, it's just, so you sit there and you're trying to explain shit to people and they just don't get it. And
Can I just do that on my phone?
I try to explain it to them because I
Yeah, go for it.
I use Wix for almost everything because I don't like freelancers. It's not that I like dislike them as people. It's just like it's such a pain to work with freelancers when you're I'm the type of person that like I want to get it done. So for me to sit and wait for a freelancer to do something drives me insane. I only do it if I absolutely have to. I've picked up learning to do graphic design myself because I don't want to
Wait for it.
and I don't want to pay somebody, $100 for a logo.
Right.
I'd rather charge somebody $100 for a logo and do it myself.
Yeah, $100. I'll pay you $100 for a logo, bro.
I'll make you a logo for
One dude,
$100.
this dude was like, it's gonna be $500. I'm like, all right. And I understand like it's work, but I'm like, I told him I know exactly what I want.
It
Dude, if you're
very
giving
much
me-
depends on the logo.
Yeah, if it's something like, unless you want custom artwork,
Yeah.
if you're like, here's the color scheme, here's the vibe, and you hand that to me, I'll have you something in a couple hours for a couple $100 or $100. Like, it's not going to take me time. For the most part, also, almost any graphic designer you're going to find who's doing something for low price. If they're American, they're using Canva, they're using Adobe, they're going with stock elements, and they're tossing it all together.
Yeah.
If they're foreign, they're charging you like way less because the cost of living in their country is just way lower.
Yeah, $5 an hour is like living like a king there.
Yeah, so for me, I sit there and if somebody's like, I want a website, I'm like, all right, here's what it's going to cost you. And I finally actually did the pricing breakdown for myself the other day, and I was like, all right, so for like a basic website where an all-inclusive of like hosting costs and software and all of that, I was like, I need to be charging like, just to be making $100 a month on it, I need to be charging like $1,400, $1,500. And that's to like be making $100 a month off a website.
Right.
So when you find people who are like, I need $5,000 for that, it's not ridiculous. Like,
Yeah. So I build everything in WordPress, and it's funny. I love these conversations because it's like I don't work with anybody, so I can't bitch about like this shit. But I had a pizza shop call me, and like I was like, they don't want to spend any money, and I threw out like a service fee to build the website. It was going to be $100 to maintain, and I was more doing like the $100 to recoup my money for like designing it and doing it, and he started beating me down on the price, and I ended up and then he left. Then we left with him being like, "Well, I'll think about it," And all I've been thinking, like I stopped. I was like, don't text him. Just like sit on it. Let yourself like relax. Yep. But even the more I've like calmed down on it, like I'm going to text him probably on Monday and be like, I think you should just go and find somebody else. I go, because I literally said to him, he's like, well, are you going to come here and build the site in front of me so I can tell you what I want? And I literally turned to him and I go,
you want me to spend 40 hours in front of you so you can tell me exactly what I want?
He's like, I just want a one page or what. Like, and he goes, well, I thought you would give me, can you just give me like, can you give me a sample of it? Like, can you build? And I'm like, I literally turned to him, I go, I do websites for like simple ones are like with all the social media build out and branding, like easy $4,000.
Oh yeah,
$5,000. And I'm low. I'm low.
A basic one-page website, you're
low.
lucky to get under 1,000. For just the website.
And that's another thing is that he needs all the social media filled out. He needs a listing package. He needs like SE. Like he just opened a pizza shop a week ago.
Listing package. You know you can sell them Yext for nothing.
Yeah, but dude, the amount of hours it goes into filling all that stuff out. So yes, Yext. That's exactly who I use.
Yeah.
Yext is nothing, but like the amount of hours to fill that stuff out properly and link it and make sure like
they also usually don't get that like this stuff requires tools that cost us money. Like if I'm building a website for somebody and they want SEO, like I'm not gonna, if they're looking at it and they're like, well, if I get the software, it's like $100. I'm like, yeah, I've got to pay for $500 a month in SEO software on top of all of this to do these websites, and I've got to keep it up to date, and I've got to check it, and I've got to monitor it. And if your website takes a position tank, I got to spend another 6 hours, 10 hours figuring out why. Like, so I can fix it, which is going to take me more hours.
Yeah.
Like, if you look at it, and the way I pitch it to people, the way I explain it is like, yes, you can do this yourself, but it's going to take you 7 to 8 times as long as it would take me, and you don't have that time. So pay me to do it. It'll be done. You don't have to think about it.
That's literally, so he goes, well, what if I want to update everything? I'm like, you can? And he goes, well.
Good luck.
Like I can see he's trying to be, and I literally said, I go, you can also do your own plumbing here. Mm-hmm. I go,
it's the same thing.
I go, you can run the electricity too if you want to add another oven over there. Mm-hmm. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Go for it.
That's usually the point at which they stop.
I was like, this is a skill trade. Mm-hmm. Like, you're going to spend thousands of hours learning what I do.
Yeah, and I always explain it this way to them too. Like, if they're like, well, why do I even need a website? I'm like, your website's your digital storefront. You could have the best products in the world, but if somebody logs onto your website and it looks like it was built in 2005, they're going somewhere else.
I also said to him, I was like, you're a pizza shop. Like, everybody's Googling pizza. Then they want to see a menu. They want to see, like... They want to see your reviews. Mm-hmm. I go, like, you have nothing right now. Like, you want traffic? You know, like, and he was like, well, I'm gonna send menus out. That's only gonna cost me $1,200. I'm like, okay, like.
He's gonna send menus out.
He's still what? Mail them?
Mailers.
He could literally walk around and drop them off.
No, well, when my dad had
so
pizza shops like 20 years ago, it was like
that was the way to do it.
He was spending like $10,000 a pop sending them out. He's like, no, it's only like $1,200, and I'm like, okay, then you're going cheap. But anyway.
Yeah, but also like on top of that, that's not cheaper than just paying somebody to put it on the website once.
Well, it's also how many times do you take some menu you got in the mail and
never
put. Like, yeah, I am very much a try to be as clutter free, especially with paper stuff.
Any like grocery store and menu type thing.
Dude, I'm at the point where if I need to view the menu for something, I will go on like DoorDash to do it.
I'm gonna make a video about this actually.
Do it, but I'm at the point where like websites. I did a Yellow Page one. Such bad websites.
Yeah.
That you go on, you try and find the menu, and it's like a screenshot of like, or a PDF or something. It's like, that's not what people want. I'm reworking the site for this pizza shop that I did theirs for, and they're like, why is it taking so long? I'm like, because I have to take time out of my day when I'm doing 8 other jobs, and you're not paying me. I'm doing this as a favor for me to go in and physically update all of this different stuff so that it appears properly on mobile and on desktop. Like, right. I just redid your color scheme. It's going to look a lot better. I'm trying to tell this guy, like, look, it's going to take me time. If you want to pay me, I'll prioritize it. But for right now, like, I'm doing shit for you that would cost you hundreds, if not thousands of dollars for free. Like, 2 minutes? Right.
Yeah.
I will be honest, I do have to go pee.
Yeah.
You guys pump me full of liquid.
20 minutes.
Yeah, and this guy was like, well, I want the person to be local, and but I'm like, then pay more. Like, you want somebody to show up or whatever? Like, I'm not. Yeah, I'm probably gonna text him on maybe tomorrow.
No, some people don't understand the job, I guess. It's like when I do the wedding thing, like I actually have a thing of like a menu
Right.
that describes the 2 packages I have, right? And it includes the pricing, but then it'll break it down like this is what you're getting for this price.
Right.
For 3 hours, 100 people.
Right.
And then after 100 people, it's just like certain packages will be like $15 a head or $10 a head extra for additional heads. And I'll even work a deal if we hit 50. You know, like by the 50 count, I call
Right.
it. I mean, if it's 200 people, I just double the price, literally. And what is it? Some people are like, well, my cousin can bartend the wedding and he'd do it for $15 an hour. And I'm like, have him do it then. And they're like, what? I'm like, why are you talking to me if you're going to pay him $15 an hour? I'm like, do it. And then, like, I tell them, I was like, look, I'm coming in. I'm setting up the bar.
Right.
I'm bringing all the stuff, the liquor and this and that. If they want to work on, like, they buy all the liquor and shit, that's almost like, you buy the liquor. I'm not going to tell you how much, though. You base that on what you think your family drinks. I'll recommend a number, but it might not be enough, and it might be too much.
Right.
What are you talking about?
Just like the whole bar packaging that I offer, and like people like, oh, my cousin can do it for $15 an hour, and I just say, do it then. You know,
I've had a lot of people where they're like, oh, my
staff.
cousin's gonna do my website, and then literally they come back to me a year later and they're like, I need you to do this because he only did 1 page, and now I want to fight him at Thanksgiving dinner.
Yep.
No, I heard literally that same phrase like 5 or 6 times over the first like 4 years of me being in business. It was they try to be cheap. They're like, oh, I'm gonna have a buddy do it. I'm gonna have my brother-in-law do it, and then it gets super awkward because they're trying to get it for free or they're trying to get it for cheap, and that guy's already working a full-time exactly. He's working a full-time job, and then he says yes because he's too nice to say no. And then it's like he starts doing. He's like, "Fuck, this takes so much work." And then they want all the other stuff, the marketing stuff on top. And they're like, he's like, "No, like."
And I tell people, I'm like, "Look, you know, I'll do this for you like for free to help you out. I'll give you the basic one because I keep templates in my back pocket that I can just customize for people. Because if somebody comes in with a bid and they're like, you know, oh, well, I want this, but I only want it for this much money. I'm like, all right, well, I'm gonna give you a website that's going to be functionally the same as the website that I did for 4 other people. It's just going to have your branding on it.
Right.
And you know, that's when people are like, I want one for $600. That's what I do. But I've had people where I'm like, listen, I'll build it out for you for free as a favor to help you out because we're friends or we're family or something like that. But then it'll come, you know, to a point where I tell them, all right, you're going to need to pay for the hosting. And then suddenly they're like, well, I don't have $600 a year. And I'm like, well, it's kind of the cost of doing business.
This isn't me charging you. Yeah.
Like I'm not charging you. I'm telling you, like, if I build your site in Wix and you also want to set up email campaigns to go out once a month and you want to set up an automation that sends somebody a purchase confirmation and a cart abandoned notice and stuff like that, that's going to cost you like $600 a year, regardless of me.
Yeah.
So
I always tell them,
would you rather pay me $100 a month and I'll handle it for you, or would you rather pay $600 a year and get no support?
Yeah.
Like I'm at the point where I can guarantee to anybody who's already who has started their business and is doing sales, I can guarantee them that whatever they're paying me, they will make up.
Yeah.
Within a couple of months. But if somebody isn't doing anything yet, I'm like, listen, here's the timeline for how long this is going to take you without marketing. You need to be posting on social media and doing this. And my mom is the person I built my first website for from scratch on my own. And even she's like, well, I don't understand why this isn't working. I'm like, it's because you don't have a social media plan. You're not doing this. You're not doing it. Granted, I can see the statistics on her website in terms of sales. She is more than covering what she pays me.
What does she do?
She's a florist.
Okay.
And you know where she shows up? If you're
Is it
in
like hardwood floors or
florist flowers.
Florist.
If you so if you look like florists near me or flowers near me or prom bouquets near me, if you're in Berwyn or
hardwood
Devon,
near me?
first person that comes
What's the
up.
name of her place?
Studio Flora.
Studio what?
Studio Flora. So if you're local,
Studio Flora, guys.
By the way, she is so insanely talented.
Don't hold back on doing shout outs
Okay,
for dude, we're all about supporting local businesses.
My mother is
why I do
so
what I do.
insanely talented,
awesome.
at what she does, like total artist. And I built her
old is she?
website. She's
You don't
54.
have to answer it.
She's exactly 30 years older than me. So she's, it's incredible the kind of stuff she's been able to do. I know I'm gonna hit you later. You're not gonna be looking for it. Are you wearing the I Love MILFs hat? Is that what this is? Yep.
Yo, I literally texted. We went. Cassidy drove, and we went to pick up Jules last night.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as we turned onto the street, I text her. I go, "Tell Tina we're turning onto the street right now," because she lives with her mom.
Yeah.
And Cassie is just like, "You're a dog." Yeah.
I thought so. Yeah.
From what I've been gathering, but her mom started doing a shout out to me on Facebook the other day, and Jules didn't even see it. She was just like, "Oh my!" She goes, "Oh, is that Redbeard or something like that on one of my posts?" And I just gave her this smirky
Oh my god.
wink face.
You disgust me.
But it tagged her name,
horrid.
and she goes, "Yeah, say my name out loud, LOL." And I was like, "Oh."
She said that or you said that?
She said that.
She said say my name.
How old is she?
I have no clue.
You're an animal, Luke.
No clue. Apparently her mom was fighting with the boyfriend, and she goes,
So there's a chance.
She goes, "You might want to stop yelling. Your boyfriend Luke is outside." And she stopped, and then the boyfriend's like, "Who the fuck is that?" And she's like, "Redbeard." And he's like, "Oh." Apparently I'm part of a domestic disturbance.
Look, man, being
incident.
a part of a domestic dispute is just
Never
a part of
had-
every man's life.
Yeah.
It's always gonna happen.
At some point. Good Lord.
All right, so let's wrap this thing up.
right.
You want to do any shout outs? You want tell them your channel to follow?
Yeah. So again, my
channels.
name's Aidan Mattis. I go by the Aidan Mattis on just about everything. If you search my name, I'm at the point. It's cool. I'm at the point where I come up if you search my name. I am the 25th most popular Aidan on famousbirthdays.com, which is just
There you go.
funny to me. But my name is Aidan Mattis. I am the Aidan Mattis on TikTok and Instagram, and then I run a show called The Lore Lodge on YouTube. And that's also the podcast
As
is
a mom, that's a florist.
I hate you. We upload the podcast to all podcasting networks, Spotify, Apple, Amazon, all of that as well. That's the Lore Lodge official podcast.
We'll be there soon.
You guys are welcome to. We need guests.
So
We've
if
been-
I said
Oh,
my name,
I didn't mean that, but okay.
Okay.
I meant we'll be on all the podcast
Gotcha, yeah.
networks, but okay.
I'm
Dude,
gonna be
it's-
on Tinder. I'm gonna put my age range from 55. You said, just max it right there. Just leave it.
Gonna hurt you.
55 to 56.
Going to cause you immense pain, the likes of which you have never
See,
experienced.
the fact that I said that, it makes me think your mom's on Tinder because you said she's not on Tinder.
No, you should be way more scared of my stepdad than me, though.
I
My
am-
stepdad is a terrifying man.
I am actually. I think now
Well-
I've been thinking about it. But now you switch. I am gonna take all my dating stuff because I don't take any of that shit seriously.
watch.
I'm just gonna be a whore for all the fucking shit I'm doing.
Bro, just put your age range to 40
yeah, I'm gonna do
and up.
I'm gonna do it to
40 and up.
18 to fucking 100.
I love Hinge because Hinge will be like, we think you and this person should meet, and then it's some 56-year-old named Deborah.
Fuck yeah, put me
And
on.
I'm like-
Deborah does need.
And I'm like, why do you think I
Deborah
should meet
needs a
this
dick in-
person? Like, what about my habits using this app, swiping exclusively
sugar
on
mama,
20
bro.
to 25-year-olds, told you that Deborah and I are a good match? Like,
Get you a sugar mama, man.
Yo.
Okay.
you know, at this
I don't
point in
need
my
a
life,
sugar
it's not
mama,
the
but I'll
worst
take
idea.
one. Listen, I don't need one, but I'll take one.
I have one. I mean,
I could use one. That'd
I
be
do
nice.
have one. It's Sarah. Sarah's my sugar mama.
Sure. All right, man. Shit.
We have somebody who refers to herself as our Splenda friend.
What the fuck?
Yeah, she doesn't have. She
doesn't have the money to be a sugar
mama.
So she's a Splenda friend.
So you've got your YouTube channel, you got
Yeah.
your TikTok.
Yeah,
You
Aidan
got
Mattis
anything,
and the
you got
Lore
anything
Lodge.
in the future that you're looking to any
got-
future endeavors?
we got a couple cool things coming up. We got a documentary on the disappearance of Thomas Messick coming up in July. I will be appearing on a bunch of Wendigoon's shit, and I may or may not be pitching a TV show.
Okay.
To a couple of film studios in Hollywood. Okay. By the time this actually goes live, that I should know more about that. But yeah, I got off a call with a manager in Hollywood yesterday, and there's a real chance that I'm going to be putting something on TV soon, which would be really cool.
I've had a couple reality, they're really small channels, like reach out to me for my channel, but a lot of them are like struggling to do it to begin with.
Yeah, we've got a couple. There's one we wanted to do called the working title was Lost Chapters Project, which is me and a bunch of other people from TikTok and YouTube who wanted to go around the world and investigate historical mysteries. We've got another one that we actually want to use this documentary we're doing on Thomas Messick. It's going to be about 45 to an hour. And we want to pitch that as a pilot for a show that would be doing the same thing, just with individual cases.
Me and Sam were talking last night about like how he wants to do something with Penhurst, but then he wants to make it a thing.
Yeah.
And
the thing is, I'm at the point where I have those connections now, so I'm psyched about the Penhurst thing because I would love to do a show that's a ghost hunting show.
Because I crave fear. I crave the feeling of fear.
So I love that it's going to be the other people who have actually been on TV before doing their thing, and then you and me.
So my best
totally vibing.
Yeah, my best friend actually suggested me doing something like that, where I'm just like reacting to like exactly that, like doing a ghost hunting show.
We can just bring you.
I told Sam, I'm like, can we bang these demons? And he's like,
he's telling us in this group chat that he hooked up with his paralysis demon.
I did. Yeah. That's why I don't get paralysis demon dreams anymore.
Yo, I showed him my dick. He disappeared.
All right, wait.
Yeah,
y'all
just
worry
like
me.
it stopped getting the paralysis.
Sorry, it's just the owner of. It's
Y'all
not a paralysis
concern me.
demon. It's just the owner of Soundback that showed up. The owner, Chris, just showed
But yeah,
up
that's me. I'm Aidan Mattis, and I run the Lore Lodge, and I am the one of the lead vocalists of All You Had to Say. That's
awesome.
That's me.
Fantastic. Well, guys, this was Sweaterheads.
Sweaterheads episode. I don't know.
Make sure you keep your cheese out and
Cheese.
Yeah.
All right.
We're all about the charcuterie boards.
We're about the
charcuterie?
Charcuterie.
Charcuterie.
We are about the charcuterie.
The charcuterie.
We bring that regatta. We bring the ricotta.
Mozzarella.
Thanks for being on, man.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Cheese crumbles. What else does it look like? Parmesan.
He's just listing cheese.
All right.
We just leave him here and just have him list cheeses for another half hour.
Bye, Tina.